If you're over 60, I want you to pause for just a moment and think about your day so far. What did you eat this morning? Did you drink any water? Have you moved your body? Even just a little? Did you sit too long? Did you skip lunch? Did you pour a second cup of coffee around 3 p.m.? Now, I ask these questions not to judge, but to reveal something most people don't realize, something no one ever told you. It's this: your smallest daily habits may be quietly shaping your brain's future. Every time you reach for that salt shaker without thinking, every time you grab a granola bar loaded with sugar because it's quick, every time you tell yourself it's too cold to walk outside, you may be nudging your risk of stroke ever so slightly higher. And that risk doesn't always announce itself. It builds silently day after day, year after year, until one moment, everything changes. Maybe it's while you're brushing your teeth. Maybe while reading a book. Maybe during sleep. You lose your words. Your arm won't move. You fall. You're rushed to the hospital, and nothing feels familiar again. Stroke is cruel because it often gives no warning. And it doesn't just take your health, it can steal your confidence, your ability to speak, walk, or even feed yourself. The independence you've spent a lifetime building can vanish in seconds. And here's the part that often gets missed. Nearly 3 out of every 4 strokes happen in people over the age of 65. That means if you're in your 62nd, 72nd, or beyond, you're not just in the at-risk group, you're in the center of the storm. Now, I say all this not to scare you, but to wake you up gently, as a friend and a doctor who cares. Because there's another truth many forget. Most strokes aren't random. They don't come from nowhere. They come from years of small, repeated choices: what you eat, how you move, how you rest, how much you hydrate. So, ask yourself, could your normal routine be quietly working against you? If so, I've got good news. Because just as habits can harm, they can also heal. And starting today, you're going to learn the simplest, gentlest daily changes that could lower your stroke risk more than any pill ever could. Let's begin. Let me share something that brings many of my patients a sense of calm. Most strokes, are not fate. They're not random lightning strikes out of the blue. In fact, research now shows that up to 80% of strokes can be prevented. That's right, 8 out of 10. And not through expensive medications, complicated diets, or hours spent in physical therapy, but through simple daily choices that begin in the quiet corners of your home, your kitchen, your bedroom, your backyard. That's where the real work happens. That's where healing begins. You see, the body has a remarkable ability to protect and repair itself if we give it the chance. I've seen it over and over again in my own patients. Older adults who once felt helpless now feel empowered, not because they did something extraordinary, but because they made the ordinary meaningful. One of them started drinking water before her morning coffee. Another began walking around the living room after dinner. And one gentleman simply began checking his pulse each evening just to learn what his heart was telling him. These sound small, they are, but when done regularly, they become powerful. Because stroke risk doesn't rise overnight. It builds slowly, quietly, and that means it can be brought down the same way, with gentle, thoughtful choices made day after day. In the moments ahead, I'm going to walk with you through a plan. Nothing fancy, just a natural rhythm of living that supports your brain, your blood vessels, and your peace of mind. You'll see how the food on your plate can lower inflammation, how your water glass can become a shield, how 10 minutes of movement can change the way your blood flows, how quiet evenings and steady sleep protect your brain just as much as anything in your medicine cabinet. And here's what I want you to know before we go any further. You don't need to change everything. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to begin. Even one change, one small shift repeated with care can tip the scale toward protection. You have more power than you think. Not just to survive, but to shape the years ahead with clarity, strength, and dignity. So let's begin, not with fear, but with hope. Because your body is listening, and it's never too late to start giving it what it truly needs. If you ask me where stroke prevention truly begins, I'll tell you it starts not in a hospital, but in the kitchen. And more specifically, in the very first thing you put on your plate each morning. Breakfast isn't just a routine. It's your body's reset button. And for adults over 60, it's one of the most powerful opportunities we have each day to calm inflammation, balance blood pressure, and keep blood sugar steady. You see, as we age, our blood vessels become more sensitive, more reactive to the small imbalances we once brushed off. A sudden rise in blood sugar after a sweet breakfast. A spike in pressure from too much sodium. These things used to be background noise in our 42nd. Now, they're signals our bodies respond to more strongly. And one of the biggest culprits that quietly fuels stroke risk is something you rarely feel: chronic, low-grade inflammation. It's the kind that doesn't show up as pain, but quietly wears away at the lining of your arteries, making them stiffer, more fragile, more likely to collect plaque or form clots. But here's the good news. The right breakfast can act as your body's morning shield. Let me walk you through what that looks like. It starts with healthy fats that reduce inflammation. A small spoonful of chia seeds, some ground flaxseed, or a few walnuts. These foods are rich in a plant-based omega-3 called ALA. And omega-3 second are like fire extinguishers for your arteries. They help soothe overactive immune responses, calm the lining of blood vessels, and improve the way blood flows through your brain. Then we add in antioxidants, the kind you find in deeply colored berries like blueberries, raspberries, or blackberries. These aren't just sweet fruits. They're packed with powerful compounds that protect the delicate walls of your blood vessels from oxidative stress, which is like slow rust from the inside out. A handful of berries a few times a week has been linked to a lower risk of stroke and heart attack. Next comes soluble fiber, especially from foods like plain rolled oats or steel-cut oats. Fiber works almost like a sponge in your bloodstream. It grabs onto excess cholesterol, slows down sugar absorption, and helps keep your digestion and metabolism steady. Just a half cup of oats in the morning gives you a strong foundation for the day ahead. Now, contrast that with what most people reach for. Instant oatmeal packets with artificial flavoring and 12-16 grams of added sugar, more than 3 teaspoons in one bowl. Bacon and sausage with high sodium and nitrates that stiffen arteries. Or a glass of orange juice that seems healthy but spikes blood sugar just like soda would. Those choices feel normal, but they don't protect you. They create the perfect storm: sugar surges, blood pressure spikes, more inflammation, and more wear and tear on a system that's already vulnerable. So here's a better way. Simple, delicious, and protective. Start with a half cup of rolled oats, cooked gently on the stove or in the microwave. Slice in half a banana for natural sweetness. Add a mix of fresh or frozen berries. Sprinkle a tablespoon of chia seeds and a few walnuts on top. Dust it with cinnamon if you like, and maybe a spoonful of plain Greek yogurt for a little protein and probiotic support. That's it. 10 minutes, maybe less. But you've just given your brain what it truly needs: nourishment that supports circulation, reduces inflammation, and keeps your morning calm, not chaotic. And more than that, you've made a choice that moves you away from risk and toward vitality. So the next time you open your pantry or fridge in the morning, ask yourself one quiet question. Is what I'm about to eat helping protect my brain or quietly working against it? Because breakfast isn't just the first meal. It's the first step. Now that we've talked about what goes on your plate, let's shift to something even more essential: what goes in your glass. Because when it comes to preventing stroke, hydration isn't just helpful. It's vital. And yet, so many older adults live in a quiet state of dehydration without even realizing it. Here's why that happens. As we age, our sense of thirst fades. The signal that used to tell you "I'm thirsty" becomes weaker. You may not feel dry or parched, but your body, especially your blood vessels, still desperately needs water. Without enough fluid, your blood thickens ever so slightly. It moves more slowly. And that increases the likelihood of clots forming, one of the leading causes of stroke. A study published in the journal Stroke found that more than 60% of stroke patients were dehydrated at the time they arrived at the hospital. That's not a coincidence. That's a warning. And it gets worse when refined sugar enters the picture. Sugar isn't just in desserts. It's hidden in flavored yogurts, healthy granola bars, bottled teas, even salad dressings. And when too much of it enters your bloodstream, it sparks inflammation. It damages the inner lining of your arteries. It spikes your insulin, then drains your energy. But here's something most people don't realize. Sugar also dehydrates you. As your body tries to flush out excess sugar, it pulls water from your tissues. You might drink less while losing more. And now, you've got the perfect storm. Thicker blood, higher pressure, and inflamed vessels. So, what can you do? First, start simple. Keep a glass or bottle of water within reach. Drink a full glass first thing in the morning, before coffee, before breakfast. Then one before each meal. One in the afternoon, another in the evening. It doesn't have to be exact, but aim for 6 to 8 cups a day. A little more if you live somewhere warm or move around a lot. If plain water feels dull, that's okay. Add a squeeze of lemon, a few slices of cucumber, or fresh mint. Let your glass feel inviting, something you enjoy, not something you force. And when that sweet craving hits in the afternoon pause, instead of reaching for juice or soda, try a ripe apple, a handful of berries, or even a piece of banana. Whole fruits give you natural sweetness, but with fiber that slows down sugar absorption and keeps your blood vessels calm. You can also try herbal teas, caffeine-free, warm, comforting. Chamomile, rooibos, lemon balm. They don't just hydrate, they help you unwind. This one change, drinking enough water, and cutting back on hidden sugars may sound small, but it supports every single system involved in stroke prevention. Circulation, blood pressure, blood sugar, inflammation. And just like your brain, your heart, and your kidneys, your blood loves water. It moves easier. It carries oxygen better. It flows without force. So the next time you wonder if hydration really matters, remember this. Sometimes protecting your brain isn't about pills or procedures. Sometimes it's as simple as pouring a glass of water and choosing to care. Now that you've given your body nourishing food and proper hydration, there's one more habit, surprisingly simple, that can change the way your body processes both. It doesn't require equipment. You don't need special shoes, a gym membership, or a personal trainer. All it takes is 10 minutes. I'm talking about a short, gentle walk after each meal. Not a workout, not a power walk. Just simple movement on your porch, around your living room, through the garden, or even up and down the hallway. Here's why this matters so much. Every time you eat, especially meals with carbohydrates, your blood sugar naturally rises. That's a normal part of digestion. But in older adults, this rise tends to be sharper, and it lasts longer. And the longer your blood sugar stays high, the more damage it does. It inflames your blood vessels, stresses your heart, and increases your risk of stroke. Now, here's the beautiful part. When you walk after a meal, even for just 10 minutes, your muscles start using that sugar for energy. Instead of sitting in your bloodstream causing trouble, it gets put to good use. A study published in Diabetologia found that walking just 10 minutes after eating reduced blood sugar spikes by up to 22%. That's not small, that's transformative. But it doesn't stop there. This simple habit also improves circulation, lowers blood pressure, reduces inflammation, and helps you feel less sluggish after meals. Many of my patients tell me they sleep better, think clearer, and feel more grounded when they add just a bit of movement to their routine. Now let's talk about something that's often overlooked: evening movement. After dinner, most people sit down. They turn on the television, maybe read a little, and then they go to bed. But that pattern eating, then being still for hours, allows blood sugar to stay elevated into the night. That creates overnight vascular stress, and for some, raises the risk of stroke during sleep. This is why those 10 minutes matter most after dinner. They help your body settle, not struggle. They clear the path so your heart and brain can rest, not fight, while you sleep. And if you're wondering what counts as a walk, here's the good news. You don't have to go far. You can walk in circles while tidying the kitchen. Step around your backyard. Pace the hallway. Walk in place during a phone call. Invite your spouse. Chat with a friend. What matters most isn't the distance or the pace, it's the movement. It's the signal you send your body. I'm working with you, not against you. So try this right after your next meal. Stand up. Take a few deep breaths. Then start moving. Nothing forced, nothing dramatic, just movement with intention. And feel what happens next. The lightness in your legs. The clarity in your head. The calm in your chest. You just gave your brain and your heart something they can't get from a pill. Gentle, healing motion. One step at a time. Now, let's step back into the kitchen not to cook a full meal, but to take a closer look at something that's sitting quietly on your shelf. Salt. It seems harmless. After all, we've used it all our lives. A little sprinkle here, a pinch there. But over time, especially after the age of 60, too much salt becomes one of the stealthiest threats to your brain and blood vessels. Here's something most people don't realize. Only about 30% of the salt we eat comes from what we add at the table. The other 70%? It's already hidden inside the foods we buy: canned soups, deli meats, frozen dinners, salad dressings, breads, even so-called healthy snacks. That means, even if you think you're eating moderately, the salt might already be working behind the scenes, tightening your arteries, pushing your blood pressure higher, and setting the stage for stroke. Now, I don't want to overwhelm you with numbers, but this one matters. The American Heart Association recommends no more than 1,500 milligrams of sodium per day for older adults. That's about 2/3 of a teaspoon. And yet, the average person consumes more than double that, over 3,400 milligrams daily. Here's why that's a problem. High sodium intake stiffens blood vessels and makes your heart work harder. And when your systolic blood pressure, the top number, rises, so does your stroke risk. In fact, for every 10-point drop in systolic pressure, your risk of stroke drops by nearly 27%. But there's hope. You don't need to give up flavor to protect your brain. Nature has given us everything we need. Try using garlic, which contains allicin, a natural compound that helps reduce blood pressure and cholesterol. Turmeric, that bright golden spice, calms inflammation and supports circulation. Fresh herbs like rosemary, thyme, oregano, and basil don't just smell wonderful, they're filled with healing plant compounds. And lemon juice or apple cider vinegar? They wake up your taste buds and reduce your craving for salt. One of my favorites? A drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, rich in polyphenols, which protect blood vessels from oxidative stress. Together, these ingredients bring depth, brightness, and balance to your meals without putting your arteries at risk. Now let's shift gears to another quiet signal that too often goes unnoticed. Your heartbeat. One of the most overlooked stroke risks in older adults is a condition called atrial fibrillation, or AFib for short. It happens when the upper chambers of your heart beat out of sync with the lower ones. Instead of that steady, rhythmic thump-thump, your heart may flutter, skip, or race unpredictably. And here's the danger: AFib increases your risk of stroke by 5 times. That's because when the rhythm is off, blood doesn't move smoothly. It can pool, form clots, and if one travels to your brain, that's a stroke. Now, the tricky part? Many people with AFib don't feel anything. No pain, no flutter, just silence. But you can still catch it. And it starts with something as simple as your 2 fingers and a minute of quiet attention. Sit down. Relax. Place your index and middle finger just below the base of your thumb, along the inside of your wrist. Feel for your pulse. Close your eyes. Don't rush. Notice the beat. Is it steady, like a gentle drum? Or does it skip, hesitate, feel unpredictable? If you're unsure, count the beats for 15 seconds and multiply by 4. That gives you your heart rate. But more important than the number is the rhythm. If it feels off, even just once, I want you to speak to your doctor. Ask for a test called an ECG. It's quick, painless, and it can tell you if your heart is in sync or not. Because here's the truth. Catching AFib early can save your brain. Treatments like blood thinners or rhythm control medications or even a pacemaker can dramatically reduce your stroke risk. But you have to know it's there. So tonight, as you settle in for the evening, take one quiet moment. Check your pulse. Feel the rhythm of your heart. Because sometimes the strongest protection comes not from technology, but from simply listening to the signals your body is already sending. By now, you've learned how simple daily choices, what you eat, what you drink, how you move, can quietly strengthen your brain's defenses. But there are 3 more habits I want to share, and while they may seem small, they form the foundation that holds everything else together. The first one is planning ahead. We don't always make poor choices because we don't know what's healthy. We make them because we're tired, hungry, rushed, overwhelmed. And when you're standing in front of the fridge at 5:30 p.m. with no plan, that frozen meal or salty snack is going to win. That's why I teach what I call prep to prevent. It means taking just a few minutes, once or twice a week, to prepare the things your future self will thank you for. A small container of overnight oats. A fruit and nut salad ready to go. Boiled eggs, chopped veggies, a jar of lemon dressing waiting in the fridge. These are the quiet victories that make your days easier and your decisions better without willpower. Because when healthy options are already made, already visible, already waiting, you're far more likely to choose them. The second habit lives not in your kitchen, but in your relationships. Social connection. You see, the science is clear. Isolation raises your stroke risk, sometimes as much as high blood pressure or smoking. Loneliness increases stress hormones, like cortisol. It weakens motivation. It chips away at emotional resilience. But connection, true human connection, does the opposite. Let me tell you about someone I'll never forget. Her name was Eleanor. She was 72 when she had a minor stroke, what we call a thanks in advance, a mini stroke. After that, her doctor told her she needed to walk more, manage her blood pressure, eat better. But she lived alone. She didn't drive, and honestly, she felt scared. So she joined a walking group at her local senior center, just twice a week at a nearby park. At first, she barely spoke, just walked quietly behind the others. But slowly, she connected with another woman in the group, Mary, who had also gone through a health scare. They began checking in on each other, reminding each other to drink more water, sharing recipes, even calling on days they didn't walk, just to ask, "How are you today?" 2 years later, Eleanor's blood pressure is stable. She's lighter, fitter, happier. And she told me, "I didn't heal because of pills. I healed because I didn't feel alone anymore." That's the power of connection. Whether it's a walking group, a Tai Chi class, volunteering at your church, or even a weekly phone call with a friend, people heal better when they're not healing alone. And finally, one last habit that ties it all together: weekly tracking. Now I know what you're thinking. Do I really need to write things down? My answer? Yes, but just once a week, and just for 5 minutes. Here's why it matters. When you jot down your blood pressure, your resting pulse, how well you slept, or whether anything felt off that week, you're creating a map. A map that helps both you and your doctor see what's changing before it becomes a crisis. Maybe you notice your heart feels faster some mornings. Maybe you've had more headaches. Or maybe everything's going well, and that's worth recording too. This isn't about numbers for numbers' sake. It's about awareness. Because sometimes, The most dangerous signals are the quietest. And when you're paying attention, even gently, you give yourself the power to respond early before anything serious takes root. So if you take nothing else from this part of the journey, remember this. Prepare your meals, not in a rush, but with care. Stay connected to people who lift you up. And check in with yourself, just once a week with curiosity, not judgment. These aren't chores. They're lifelines. And they're how you take stroke prevention out of theory and into your real life. Take a deep breath with me. Look at how far you've come just in the last few minutes. You've just learned 9 habits that are small in effort but powerful in their impact. No extreme diets. No expensive supplements. No pressure to be perfect. Just simple, gentle changes that meet you where you are. Choosing a breakfast that calms inflammation. Drinking water with intention. Moving your body for just 10 minutes after meals. Seasoning your food with healing herbs instead of salt. Listening to your heart's rhythm, one quiet moment at a time. Preparing meals ahead so your future self has less to worry about. Reaching out so you're not walking this path alone. Tracking your health with compassion, not criticism. These are not rules. They are invitations. Each one a door you can open, one day at a time. Because stroke prevention is not about fear. It's about care. It's about treating your brain, your heart, and your future with the respect they deserve. Not someday, but now. And not perfectly, but consistently. So, I want you to remember this, especially if you've felt behind, or overwhelmed, or unsure where to begin. You don't need to do everything. You just need to begin. Even one small change, done today, could mean a stronger, clearer, more independent tomorrow. And you don't have to walk this path alone. If this video has helped you in any way, I invite you gently to click like. It tells YouTube to share it with other older adults who need this guidance, just like you. And if you'd like more support, more science made simple, more honest conversations about health after 60, feel free to subscribe. We create each video with you in mind. You can also share this with someone you love, a sister, a neighbor, a friend who may not realize how powerful their everyday choices really are. And before you go, I'd love to know, which one of these 9 habits will you begin this week? Let me know in the comments, because your decision might inspire someone else to take their first step too. Until next time, stay strong, stay curious, and keep choosing what honors your future. You've got this. And I'm right here with you every step of the way.